Hello Year 6, welcome to this week's Weekly Bulletin. I hope you've been having a good week. This week I'm going to introduce you to some more members of staff at Nottingham Free School. We're going to look at what a typical school timetable will look like. We're going to talk about a little bit more about reading, and I was really interested to see some of your responses to last week's weekly challenge about what you guys are reading. And I'm also going to set you a new weekly challenge for this week, so I hope you enjoy this week's bulletin. So last week I introduced you to the senior leadership team, and this week I'd like to introduce you to the pastoral team. And the pastoral team is made up of all the heads of year and also achievement coordinators, and we all have a certain year group that we look after. So you've already seen me, Miss Wilson. I'm going to be your head of year next year, but I also work alongside Miss Detton, who is the head of year 8 and 9, and Miss Detton also teaches geography, so you may see her for some of your geography lessons. I also work with Miss Cockayne, and Miss Cockayne is head of year 10 and year 11, and she also teaches DT, so you might have her for some of your DT lessons. And then we also have Mrs. Machin, who is the achievement coordinator for year 10 and 11, and Mrs. Machin teaches science, so again you might see her for some of your lessons. As I mentioned last week, I want to give you a little bit of information each week so that you are ready for your start to school in September. And this week I want to talk about the timetable. Now on the screen you'll see the times that we follow each day to make sure that we attend lessons on time. Now it might look a little bit confusing, but don't worry, there's only 2 options that you need to follow, and that will depend on your timetable when you start in September. So the only things you need to know at the moment are that school starts at 8:30, and that means that you need to be in the building by 8:25 at the latest, so that you're not late for registration at 8:30. Then after each session there will be a bell, and that means that your teachers will dismiss you and then you will move on to your next lesson. And that means that you'll have to move to your next classroom, which I did discuss last week. And don't worry, you'll get a map on your first day, so you'll be able to find your way around the school quite easily. Then, depending on the day, you'll either have an early lunch at period 5 or you'll have a later lunch during period 6. And again, that will be shown on your timetable really clearly. Then at the end of the day, we'll have an hour, and that will be spent on either enrichment or study. And enrichment happens 2 times a week, and that could be about instruments, it could be about sports, it just depends on what your choices are in September. And then we have 2 lessons a week that are dedicated to study, and study is where you do your homework. So you have a little bit of time in school to do your homework with a teacher if you need any extra help with it. And then on a Friday we have an early finish of 20 to 3, so there's no study or enrichment during that day, and we get to leave a little bit earlier. So last week I showed you what I was reading, and I've actually finished my book now, and in the time that it's taken for me to put another weekly bulletin, I've actually read another book. So I'm now on my 10th book out of 12 that my target is for this year, and I've got a feeling that I might be able to achieve that, so that's really, really good. But what I was interested in seeing last week was to see your guys' recommendations for your books. And I've put a few on the screen now. I'm really sorry that I can't include everybody's, but over the next few weeks I will make sure that I include people's recommendations. But these are 4 that you guys have sent me. And if you are reading anything different or you want to let me know and you haven't already, please do send me an email so that I can include your book recommendation into the weekly bulletins. So this leads me on to the weekly challenge portion of the bulletin. Thank you to those of you that submitted your responses for the tie-a-tie challenge. If you haven't already done that and would like to participate, then please do feel free to send me an email. But this week's weekly challenge has been decided by PE, and PE have asked you to learn how to catch a tennis ball. So there's a few things that they would like you to do for this challenge, but firstly they would like you to research how to catch a tennis ball both below the waist and above the waist, and it's important to look how the hand changes shapes. So first thing, they want you to learn what the word cushion means in relation to catching, and then they would like you with a member of your family to practice catching the ball. So you'll see that there's 3 different challenges for you to attempt. Now we use chilies at Nottingham Free School to indicate kind of the level of difficulty that a challenge may be. So a 1 chili challenge is slightly easier, 2 chili challenge is a little bit more difficult, and then a 3 chili challenge is a quite difficult challenge if you want to kind of give it a go. So depending on which challenge you go for, there's certain rules that you have to follow. So 1 chili challenge is 10 times in a row without dropping. The 2 chili challenge is 20 times in a row without dropping, and then the 3 chili challenge is 30 times in a row without dropping. And again, I'd really like to see your responses to this, so if you want to send me a photo or a video of you guys attempting it, then please do make sure that you send me an email. And again, there is some guidelines on the screen for you to follow if you are going to send me a photo or a video. So I really do look forward to seeing your responses to this, guys, and I hope you participate in it. And that brings me to the end of this week's Weekly Bulletin. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you got a little bit more information and enjoyed seeing people's reading recommendations, and also you give the weekly challenge a go as well, and please do remember to send me your responses. There won't be a weekly bulletin next week as it's half term, but I hope you have a really good half term, and I'll be back the following week with a new bulletin that gives you a little bit more information and also a new weekly challenge for you to attempt. But in the meantime, please do take care and stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye guys!